welcome to GovTake 5, a series where we set aside a few minutes with subject matter experts on key topics impacting the government and the public sector. And today I'm joined by my friend and colleague Mohit Bhasin from our KPMG's Global Economic Growth Practice based out of India. Good morning, Mohit. Good day. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, Omar. Happy to be here.
Wonderful. Thank you. And for those that I haven't had a chance to meet or the pleasure to meet, my name is Omar Raza. I'm a sector executive with the Global Center of Excellence for Cities and Local Government at KPMG. So sit back, relax, and get ready to hear a little bit of a discussion, a little bit of a debate about the future of cities and their role in economic growth. Now, we've been working quite a bit together, and we know that there's been a significant amount of change and impact on our cities as a result of the pandemic. And many governments have decentralized their decision-making powers to further enable cities and local governments to make better decisions in their local communities. But with this, there is a change and an impact on how government structures their economic strategies and their efforts to recover from the pandemic. Could you tell us a little bit more about that and what changes you're seeing within our neighborhoods?
So traditionally, the modus operandi of government was from a federal to a provincial level. Either the administrative decision power or the fiscal decision powers sits primarily at the headquarter of any province. Typically that one city which really decides where all the administration sits for the entire state or a region particularly. The pandemic has left us with no option but to go in an absolute decentralized way. And when I say decentralized, it has not only moved from a province to a city, but to a municipal level, even a very small region, wherein the administration has been given a full authority to do situation control, empowering them fiscally so that they can mobilize those resources. This has given possibly for the first time government an experience that you can manage situation much better if it is decentralized, if it is happening at the ground level. You certainly do not need every time a central mechanism, one rule fit all kind of a method. So that's something which has certainly given a lot of confidence to the officers I have spoken on ground that yes, they can do well and they can do better. I see this as an opportunity wherein government has learned that they can effectively manage situations in a decentralized manner. And I firmly believe that had it not been decentralized, possibly the situation of COVID would have been far different than today what we have in control.
Thanks, Mohit. And I mean, this is a trend that we've been seeing for a while, not necessarily the decentralization, but a growing focus on our cities. And as you know, we've also been working on a report that was recently released called The Future of Cities, which includes research from Forrester Consulting, which was commissioned by KPMG. And the research revealed that 80% of global GDP is being generated by cities, and that 7 out of 10 people are projected to live in a city by 2050. And that kind of goes back to the discussion we were just having, that with this growing focus on cities, with this growing centralization of the population and a decentralization of decision-making from federal to local, it also begs the question about the importance of economic growth, but more importantly, sustainable economic growth at a city level. And if you could share any kind of comments on what are some of the trends that you're seeing from that perspective, would love that.
Yeah, so since the time the pandemic has started, we all have seen an absolute lockdown situation in many parts of the world, which means that the manufacturing side was absolutely shut down, and we all have learned the hard way to go virtual like the way we are today. Now, what this has resulted is a complete different perspective in the minds of industry as well as in the mind of government that we can play in a difficult situation like this well. So because of the lockdown, we have seen a significant amount of labor migration back to their hometowns, which are typically far away from the manufacturing hubs. So governments are now thinking about developing manufacturing centers which are not closed or centrally located, and low-cost manufacturing centers can be placed at a distant location where the labor is living close to the home, and you don't need to concentrate everything right in the middle of where you have the manufacturing hub. At the same time, work from home is again changing the landscape in which we operate, and I think we all have learned very well that how can things run status quo while working from home. This means the landscape of opportunity, hence the job creation for a city administration, is becoming more and more tough. The working class can also now work from home from tier 2, tier 3 location, which means that it may not be equally attracting a proposition for employers to come and work from tier 1 locations, which are expensive. Travel time is high, cost of commute is high, and everything. In order to retain that talent, which is generating livelihood or income in those economies, by focusing on, we call it as ease of living, which is an overall incentive you can give to your citizen when it comes to living and working in your particular city, be it providing an access to a good medical infrastructure, providing a affordable education in a decent way, providing the limited or at least a basic level of recreational facilities, because health is getting more and more important these days. And last but not the least, the basic infrastructure to commute and to survive or live in a comfortable ecosystem.
Well, that's a lot of change that's been happening in a short period of time, but it sounds like all that work can't be done alone. And we've seen through the pandemic different types of collaboration and different types of partnership. And just curious to get your thoughts on, in what ways do you see private sector collaboration can enhance the responsiveness, the agility of governments to respond to changing circumstances in order to further help drive some of this economic growth?
So I would say private sector has really helped all of us as a citizen and a government to survive safely or to a certain extent comfortably through the tough time we all have had. But at the same time, let's also understand and recognize and appreciate the way government has also supported the private sector. And I was a part of a conversation wherein when the lockdown happened, and if you all recall, that face mask was a rare commodity. So we were having a conversation with one of the provincial government, wherein one of an American enterprise who came forward and they said that we can immediately switch on our assembly lines and start making face masks in 2 days. Can you give us an approval? And to my surprise, for the first time I have seen in 24 hours, government has swiftly given them the approval, and we had the face mask coming out of that facility. So government also becoming agile, becoming flexible with the enterprise to give an approval in a time-bound manner, which was not that the normal case in the previous days. Second, innovation has become a new way in which government is also thinking. And I have seen now a significant amount of funding and focus going from government, asking enterprise to innovate, giving funds, innovation grants for companies to innovate. But at the same time, the concept of sandbox or the regulatory sandbox has also become a new norm, wherein government is saying, you come and experiment in a particular regime, we will give you a regulatory cover so that you do not feel the risk of doing something which is technically or regulatory, from the regulatory perspective, it's wrong, but at the same time, we want you to innovate. So government understanding and appreciating the importance of innovation, giving the private sector the regulatory cover, and allowing the private sector to innovate, and most importantly, come and work with the government. I think that has really expedited, especially in last 2 years, which was actually a tough ask if I were to answer this 3 years back.
That was great. Thank you, Mohit. And a big thank you again. And it was great having you join us on GovTake 5. To everyone else, thank you for spending a few minutes of your day with us. Tune in for future episodes. And if you'd like to continue the dialogue on any of the topics we cover and what they mean for you and your clients, feel free to get in touch. We're happy to connect. Thank you, and chat soon.